I'm Catherine Chertuti. I'm the Solid Waste, Groundwater, and Hazardous Waste Manager for the City of Boise, better known as the Trash Queen. We're going to talk about embracing the art of reduce, reuse, and recycle. Historically, here in Idaho, particularly in the Treasure Valley, it was very, very easy and cheap to dispose of our waste. We have some of the cheapest landfill rates in the nation, and our landfill lasted us for a good 20 plus years. We've had unlimited trash disposal for a number of years in Boise. We had an effort back in the 1970s to actually have a pay-per-can rate. That lasted for a few years until we had significant problems with illegal disposal because we had such easy access to the foothills and the deserts. And I think in particular, we thought of the foothill gulches and the deserts as wasteland. We saw a lot of illegal disposal that to this day we continue to clean up. In 1989, the city started one of the first household hazardous waste collection programs in the nation. We had a one day a year program. It eventually kind of grew to what we have today as a year-round program. In 1992, we started one of the first curbside recycling collection programs in Idaho, and now we have all of the residents in Ada County have access to curbside recycling, and we are one of the only counties in the state that have access to curbside recycling at every home. By 1998, we had seen significant growth. I took over the solid waste program in 1995. At that time, we had 43,000 households in Boise. By 1998, we had 54,000 households, producing about 186 pounds of trash per month and 17 pounds of recycling a month. We had an 8.4% diversion rate at that time. Jump forward to 2010, today, with our new Curb It recycling program with No Sort Recycling, we now have 69,000 households. We're producing about 151 pounds of trash per household per month. And we're up to 29, almost 30, and some months we're going over 30. We've had one month where we had as much as 34 pounds of recycling per household per month. We're having about a 19.5% diversion rate now. So what's our vision for 2020? Well, one of the things I'd like to see us do is be a part of that energy picture. What little garbage we produce would be used to generate electricity and biofuels. When we look at the reduce, reuse, recycle, we've added rethink to that model. And we're thinking very carefully about the choices that we make when we purchase a product. And by rethinking, we're also thinking about the fact that those folks who came up with that great recycling symbol and the theme of reduce, reuse, recycle really did put that into priority order. It really is first reduce, second reuse, and last recycle. By 2020, consumers will be making very good choices about what they purchase. We'll be looking at reduced packaging in the materials that we do purchase. All of the packaging will be recyclable or compostable. We'll be buying in bulk. We'll keep that end use and disposal in mind when we purchase a product. We'll be making good choices about those consumer goods. Energy efficiency, we all tie together here. The monitors, a really good example of energy efficiency as well as reducing the amount of waste we produce. Good choice, an LED monitor, not a plasma monitor, by the way. They don't have the hazardous waste, but they do have really high energy use. Poor choice, the old CRTs. Those monitors contain up to 8 pounds of lead in every television and computer monitor that was a tube type. We're spending over $100,000 a year just to dispose of those properly so that the lead in that glass can be recycled. We're going to have educated citizens, and that includes our youth, looking at making good choices about the materials that they're purchasing products in. A lot of folks don't realize that an aluminum can is not only 100% recycled, but it makes 100% new aluminum cans. It's probably one of the best materials that we can collect and recycle. Plastic versus glass, we always talk about it. I'm going to challenge you a little bit to think differently about what you're purchasing. There is an end life in all of these materials. There is a cost to all of these materials. As a society here in the United States, we are importing more glass than we can use. And When you look at the grocery store shelf and you see the same product in a glass bottle or a plastic bottle, and in particular, if that plastic is a 1, 2, or 3, that's incredibly valuable to the recycling system. And I can make a ton of new products with that plastic bottle. And there are very few things and uses that we have for glass. And glass is incredibly expensive to ship to the few plants that will reprocess it regionally. Additionally, we have to keep in mind that every commodity at this time, in 2010, that we collect curbside in the program is baled and shipped out of state where it's sorted and processed at processors. We have very few processors in the West, and we have absolutely no processors for these recyclable materials in Idaho. So in 2020, my vision is we will have all of the materials that we collect in our recycling program used in Idaho. We will develop local industries that can use these materials, create value, provide jobs, and also reduce the energy and transportation cost of shipping these materials out of this community to some other community where they're used. In 2020, our businesses will be proud partners in reducing, reusing, and recycling. And we know from some of our research that we have the greatest opportunity to reduce waste from our business and industries in our community. And we also have to recognize that water and energy conservation go hand in hand with reducing business waste. In 2020, our great quality of life will continue to depend on all of the interconnected issues we're talking about today: clean air, clean water, energy efficiency, and reducing waste. I challenge you in 2020 to be a part of the solution. We need to look at how we think about the products that we purchase and use. Look at the opportunity to reduce yard waste. In the spring, we see a 30 to 40% increase in trash going to the landfill in March and April. It's yard waste. We need to look at grass recycling if you're going to have grass. We need to look at backyard composting and worm composting. You have an opportunity to reduce 30 to 40% of the waste going to the landfill just by reducing your yard waste. Find local organizations that can take your gently used and reusable items. Right now, we're producing about 5 pounds of trash per household per day. I challenge you to get to that number of 75% or less, which means less than a pound of household trash a day that would be going to a landfill where it would be entombed. Buy recycled materials, close the loop. If you're not buying recycled, it doesn't do us a whole lot of good to try and market and develop industries to use those materials. Reduce your water use, reduce your energy use, and dispose of as little material as you possibly can in 2020. And by doing this, we will have created a community of committed people caring for future generations.